So you're saying there's a chance?
Welcome to the program, which right now has no name. So just like the Yankee jerseys have no names, we are the no name, of course.
And a girl has no name also.
Oh, really? Okay.
A girl has no name. Nothing?
No,
Nothing?
zero. A girl has no name.
Game of Thrones?
No, not a Game of Thrones guy.
Game of Thrones.
I was the first one season where
I hate sci-fi. That's probably the only sci-fi related show I ever watched ever in the history of Hashem.
interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Mendy, Game of Thrones?
No.
Not even
None of
close.
that. I don't like these type of things. I like real.
I'm the same way. And I don't know how I even got started with it, but I watched the entire, I don't know how many seasons it was, 4, 5, 6, whatever it was.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
I fell asleep in a Harry Potter movie.
I never finished that.
I fell asleep during Wicked, the Wizard of Oz movie.
I never.
It's a good nap.
I never
Good nap.
started it to fall asleep during Wicked. So
All right. So we are here to talk about sports, life, and everything else that comes along. So without further ado, let's let the elder Mendy introduce himself to the podcasting world.
Oh, so I guess it is age before beauty.
wow, here we are.
Wow. Yeah, I'm Mendy Rosen. As you know, you may know me as half brother to Mendy.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I'm 45 years old.
Where are you from?
I'm from Muncie. Muncie. There's a lot to say in 45 years. I mean, where do I begin?
Well, you always usually start at the beginning, but
Voracious. I'm very much a voracious guy.
I would have to say that most people really don't give a hoot about your real beginnings. But why don't you tell everybody how passionate you are about sports?
Wow. Yeah, I am very passionate about sports. I think the reason why I'm very passionate about sports is because I felt like I had to hide it. You know? I had to hide sports growing up. So that's what I think that's what it was. It was always something that I had to I was chasing because I couldn't get a hold of it. It's not like we didn't have newspapers in my house. I remember my uncle, my mother's brother, the first time I saw my mother's brother, he brought a newspaper, he's checking the standings, and I'm like, I don't know what year it was. I think it was 1990. And I'm he's checking the NFL. I'm the Giants are 8-0. I'm like, that's my team, 8-0. I'm not kidding. 1990. I don't remember who the quarterback was. I think it was 1990. I was 10 years old.
Probably Phil
That was my first moment of sports before anything. Yeah. Crazy.
I find that fascinating personally.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, let's get Mendy Halpert on the mic.
Yeah.
And he'll do his spiel.
My spiel. Mendy Halpert, 6'5", 272. I played in the NBA for 3 seasons, mostly on the bench. I'm best friends with Michael Jordan. I'm originally from Muncie, still live in Muncie, so originally and still born and
Brother,
raised.
you consider when people ask you, where do you live? What do you say?
Still Muncie.
You don't
Guys
say
who live in Muncie, grew up in Muncie, you can live in Pomona or Haverstraw, you live in Muncie. If you're talking to someone in Haverstraw, I live in Haverstraw. I'm assuming that's how they do it out there in Haverstraw. But I don't say I live in Pomona to someone who grew up in Muncie. I live in Muncie.
Right. It's a conversation I had with somebody actually the other day, which was someone asks you, where do you live? Right. It's better you say Muncie. And then they'll say where. And then you can say
Right, exactly.
Hills,
It's one
Valley,
level
whatnot.
further in. Yeah.
Do you think anyone in that lives in Haverstraw actually was born in Muncie?
Yeah.
Yeah, you could. 'cause
Born in
you get
Muncie,
married
yeah.
After, right.
Yeah.
I mean, guess what? At this point right now, there are people that actually could say they were born on Haverstraw. They're just probably 2.
Right.
Yeah, they can't really speak.
Right. It's troublesome.
Okay, so now that we got to the introductions, let's talk about what we're doing here. So basically, I decided for the entire klal, I went to all of the Rosh Hashivas around, and I asked them, what do we need besides tzedakah organizations and fundraisers,
Meat boards.
meat boards? They basically said to me, I mean, I can show everybody later on with the, I have the Hazmana, right? The Hazmana?
true.
I
I've
don't
seen
know,
it.
Hazmana?
Yeah,
I don't know
I've
if that's
seen
right.
it.
Anyway,
Words.
I'd like to see who.
yeah,
it
I have a
was.
list of all the big Rosh Hashivas, and they said, listen, you got to talk about sports because they love sports.
And Manny Rosen didn't get it as a child when it comes to sports, so we're here to make
I
up
was
for
also
that.
gonna say like there's a lot of like people that like Kinyan Masechta.
Yes.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Right. I feel like it is a shout out, but I feel like it's like also an escape.
Sure.
I don't want, you know.
I usually finish Shas as my personal escape. It's just my own thing, but to each their own. You know, sports, Shas, you know, eating
Right. So,
multiple meatballs.
so I'm a big sports guy. I might not know like every little detail. Grew up loving sports, living sports. Yeah, there's just really no outlet for people to listen to 3 from guys, 4 from guys, 5 from guys, whatever it is. Talk about sports, you know, in their car and, you know, have that like, you know, yeshivish flair and, you know.
Talk
So
about
that's
how they used to call Tell Me in like 7th grade to find out the score, like that kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what we're doing. So we're
Crazy
gonna,
how much money I spent in Israel just to find out scores. You know, I did that card. You know, the
Listen,
card.
Israel in 1986 for you must have been a real trip, you know?
1996, Game 6 of the World Series. I was in Israel, and I called up a friend of mine, and I said, "Do me a favor, just put the phone by the radio, and hang up after the game." And that's what happened. That's how that's the only way that I was able to listen to the Yankees win the World Series because there was way before smartphones, way before the internet. And that was the only way to do it. So $2,000 later.
$2,000, 2,000 shekel.
I don't even know, whatever it is.
A large quantity of kasa.
My father disowned me. And basically,
Yeah, that happens,
oh
by
my
the way.
God, crazy. Like you get the phone call like a month later, you forget about it. And then your father's like, excuse me, but what the hell was going on? $2,000 on a phone call? I'm like, oh my God. All right. So I ended up getting, you know, some money back from a whole bunch of people that were all listening. With me.
Basically, you made money off is what you're trying to say.
No. I mean, you know, whatever. Yeah, so that's basically how it went down in 1996, pre everything that's going on.
My
today.
Israel sports moment was watching Andy Chavez make that catch against the Cardinals in Game 7 of 2006, and then
Who hit that ball? Do you remember?
well, Scott Rowland.
Did he?
Scott Rowland, yeah. Scott Rowland.
What if I told you I was at that game?
Then we would know that you were at
was.
that game.
You were at that game?
Yeah, I was.
Scott Rowland hit the ball, and then Aaron Howman get a home run the following inning, and then of course Beltran.
Oh, that's the Adam Wainwright curveball?
Yeah, and everybody knew that curveball was coming. Every single person in the bar in town, it was like 5 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning already. I was like 17 packs of cigarettes in at that point, 46 beers and 18 shots, and 1 large size heartbreak. And that we all knew that curveball was coming. It's all he threw was that curveball, and he just watched it. And walking home, the next day was the first day of this month. The day after, maybe I remember thinking like, the walk back from town was so lonely that morning.
Almost as bad as the drive back from Buffalo.
Yeah, yeah. Manny Rosen, you would have loved that Buffalo trip.
That was a classic trip.
You would have loved that
I've
Buffalo
seen
trip.
some like here and there bits and pieces on it from the chat.
Basically,
I think
Let's let the
Yaakov,
listeners know like what
yeah.
went down.
Let's set the scene. So it's the 2014-2015 season. It's week 16. The Jets beat the Patriots in overtime to basically make week 17 a win, and you're in essentially playoff game. It was more or less a playoff game. They won and they're in the playoffs. They're playing Buffalo in Buffalo. Buffalo was the terrible team that year. They were like, I don't know, 5 and 116.
yeah, there's no Josh Allen or Jim Kelly.
Nothing. There was nothing there. No Thurman Thomas either, you know? And so, like, oh, let's go to the game. Let's go to the game. And 3 hours later, there's like 30 guys are in to go to Buffalo. So it's Muncie Shabbos. We leave Muncie at like 2 a.m. It takes like 5, 6, 7 hours to get up there. 7 o'clock, 7:30, davening in shout out David Sanders in his Winnebago. Were you on that?
I was, of
You were
course. I
on
was
that.
there, baby.
Right. So it was
I'm a
you-
Giant fan, and I went honestly just because I knew it was.
But you
going to
drove
be,
with David.
No, I drove with a couple other guys. In
Oh,
the
you
car.
drove with JB and Steinmetz and those
Yes,
guys.
yes,
Right.
yes.
Okay.
Oh, Steinmetz?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I remember him. Oh, there's the bang.
Shebang. So
Steinmetz,
basically, there was
that's funny.
30 guys there. We dive in like 7:30. Ellie Mann's wearing shorts and a wife beater. It's like 21 degrees.
and a baseball and a ski cap.
And a Santa. It was Santa
Yeah,
hat.
yeah, something like
And a
that.
Santa. I have pictures. Of course, I have pictures. So we're basically like tailgating at like 8:14 in the morning till 1 o'clock, and Buffalo was like villain. Like the guys are like lighting themselves on fire, jumping off like 10-foot snow mountains onto like flaming tables. It was like a wild situation.
There is a Rebbe there, by the way.
The Buffalo Rebbe.
You heard of him?
Nope.
The Buffalo Rebbe.
By the way, this is the Torah portion of our program.
He's like a guy from 1910, a rabbi that people go all over the world. He's like a holy guy.
Oh, yes,
people go there.
Yes. On that note, so my brother-in-law, shout out Elio Kagan, got married to a girl from Toronto right after Sukkot. So they drove back from Toronto here for Sherbach, whatever it was. So they stopped off by the Buffalo Rebbe. I don't know how he goes by, but
I'm not sure
was
what he
me. That
goes
was
by,
me.
but
I
I know
just-
like people that need to get engaged or something. They go there. They say you could ask for one thing. I don't know if that would be the only.
what if you
thing.
ask for more wishes? How does that work?
I think you can only ask for one.
We should have gone to ask for a jet win. I guess maybe we
You could go back again, maybe
knew
and
we
ask,
missed
but each
something.
time you go, you could only ask for one thing.
What if you like go like
You- yeah.
what if you go like 1 o'clock,
It's you leave
change your
Buffalo,
hat, and then go back in at like
You have to
1:30?
leave like it go chutz la'ir. How does that work?
I don't know. Now you're getting like now you're thinking like a Gemara cup.
Not for the first time ever. Long story short, the Jets lost that game against Buffalo because, of course, they did. And I then proceeded to sit in the car for like 8 hours on the way home because of the snowstorm. And Yaakov Kahana was driving. Shout out Yaakov Kahana. He drove there and back, so I'm not mad. Oh, I'll get to the keys part in a second. But he drove back 8 hours in the snow. And I was so annoyed in hindsight because JB and you guys all stayed behind in the parking lot for like 2 hours after the game and tailgated again. It took an hour and a half to get out of the parking lot. Buffalo is like, it's the size of like my backyard. So the stadium is literally in a residential neighborhood. You drive out of the parking lot like someone's house is across the street. So like it took 1,000 years to get out of the parking lot. So everybody was just sitting there tailgating, and we were sitting in the car watching them tailgate because we were just in line in traffic. Not a fun experience in terms of the drive back, but would do it all over again, even though they lost in heartbreaking fashion, because it was a great show in general. Also, on the way up to Buffalo, like halfway through, so it's like, I don't know, 4 or 5 in the morning, I realized I had both sets of my car keys with me. And my wife had like 17 carpools. It was a Sunday, so I had like 45 carpools to do and everything else on the sun. And so I dive in for like an hour before I text her. So
An hour.
I left. I said, I have to get autocorrect. I'm like, I have the legs with me. That became a joke for years. Legs. So yeah, I took both sets of keys, but Penny Kahana came through in the clutch. Penny was on the trip.
And he hot
gave
wired
his
the car?
He gave his. Penny lived 2 houses down from me, so my wife basically took his car for the day. So that was Buffalo, but Buffalo was a great experience.
I remember that I think the Jets had a chance even if someone else lost or something. And I think the Bengals had to lose. I don't remember one of these teams. It was like it was like their chances of getting in was like 99.9.
Yeah.
I think that was part of like, let's
like
go.
that.
They're getting in.
Like, what are the chances of the Jets making it in life, huh, Mendy?
So you're saying there's a chance.
Yes, there it is. There it is. We're all
There it
waiting
is.
for
By the way,
that.
we had the over at 10 minutes in, so nice. So let's talk about like what's going on right now. Like,
Do we have to talk
let's
about
not
the Knicks?
reminisce.
Do we have to talk about
No,
the
we
Knicks,
have to
though?
talk about it a little bit. I mean, listen, the people want to hear from the Mendys, and shout out to Chabad for introducing us to the Mendys.
I'm just saying. I don't think either of us are Chabad, though.
No,
Who?
well, Mendy, you're
not
like
Chabad,
what are you, Mendy? You're
I'm Malach.
Malach.
I'm an angel.
You are a Malach, yeah.
Yeah, I never heard of Malach until I
Yeah,
met you.
it was a breakaway when Lubavitch started cutting their beards and payas. That's when the Malach came in and said, no.
Is that real?
Yeah, it's real.
Wait, Malach is a real thing?
It's a real thing.
What is Malach?
It's a guy that they named the Malach because he was from Chabad. They named him the Malach. He was in the Bronx, and these guys found him. Guys like from Torah Vodaas.
Just a
My
guy living there.
Yeah, a guy living there. He was from Ari Chabad, and they went there and they just followed him. They were obsessed with him, and basically, it comes from a little before as well. But he was like the main guy, and that's what it is. Basically, they follow a lot of Chabad, but they don't cut their beards and
So
payas.
your Mendy is actually Menachem Mendel from Chabad.
No, because I'm named after my grandfather.
But he might have been Chabad.
I don't know how far back it goes.
I would say we should call your father,
Because
but we'll have to
my
save that for
grandfather
the
was like my grandfather is 45. No, passed away when he was 61. He passed away when he was 61, and I was born then.
I would imagine.
So how old would that be? 61 plus 45? I'm 45, right?
105 years ago.
Yeah, 105 years ago. So what would that be? 1925?
1920.
1920.
I'm not gonna doubt that you don't know what that is, Mendy. I mean, you're like a math genius. So.
1920.
Apparently Mendy is.
No, I'm terrible with math. I can't stand. My father's a math genius. My wife, my kids, everybody's a math genius around me.
Shout out to your wife, by the way, for
Shout
being
out
the
Aviva.
tutor to.
Shout out Mora Aviva.
That's right.
But yeah, everybody around me math geniuses. Math skipped over me. Like, oh hey, look, Mendy. Math never did it.
Yeah, I hear that.
So I'm not sure what was
I'm
going
not
with that.
Chabad. I'm not Chabad though at all. Like not even a little bit. I'm just boring. Like Munkat.
So how were you Menachem Mendel?
My uncle, my great uncle, was Menachem Mendel, and that's it. Menachem Mendel is also a Hasidic name. Chabad is just a Hasidic. People always first question I got for 40,000 times. Mendy, oh, you Chabad? No, not Chabad. Nothing wrong with Chabad, obviously. Shout out Chabad.
By the way,
You do look like
by the way,
Chabad.
I get a lot like, oh, Stefan, are you Jewish?
That's more like Stefan. Why do you not say Stephen? Why is it Stefan?
No, that's another story for another day.
By the way, when I went to shul growing up, if you guys walked in, you were Goyim.
I went to.
You're a guy.
I died by Schweitzer. Shout out Races or Ellie Races is definitely listening to this at some point. He knows Schweitzer. Schweitzer was OG Muncie. Like you had like the original thugs of Muncie. Ronnie Greenwald, not a real thug, obviously, but Ronnie Greenwald, who the entire world knows.
Yeah, sure.
This shul had like 27 people in it. It was Ronnie Greenwald and his sons, Yisrael and I forgot whoever else, but 17 races and like 45 Halperts, and like that was pretty much the entire shul. And like the rabbi and his
Hanania, by the way.
Chai Silber.
No, Hanania
Greenwald.
Greenwald.
Yeah.
By the way, Hanani Silva
He's
also
older
grew up
then.
in that area.
Yeah. They didn't down there much. They down there like once in a while, but Bomo, Hanania,
By the way, this is going to be the podcast of name drops. That's what it's called, by the way. This episode is called
between me and
Dropping
Mendy,
Names.
Between the Mendys, you're gonna have like entire Muncie covered with name drops. So
Yeah,
Well, I mean-
because I'm one of 12. What are
I'm
you?
one of 11. Yeah.
Same
One
mom,
of
same
two.
dad.
No, actually, yours, mine, and ours. My parents were each married. My father had 3 kids. My mother had 1, and then they had 7 together.
Wow.
Yeah.
His, hers, and ours.
Yours, mine, and ours. His, yours,
Yeah.
and ours. Yeah.
That's a lot. Mendy, by the way, how Mendy? We'll go with Mendy Rosen first. How was it growing up with a house full of, siblings and trying to, get into sports or not get into trouble?
So I'm number 4 in the family. So it was interesting because the first 3 siblings were like more Hasidish, more like follow the
They
book.
were diehard Knicks fans, basically.
And right. And it's funny because like my father actually used to follow sports, I think, when he was a kid, but like I guess as he got older and got married, he thought it's like
Gayish.
Usavi Chazer.
yes. So anyways, so I was 4, right? So like for me growing up, I basically got to just, like I said, I just found out through my uncle and through others, and then like there were a few kids in Meistavid. We were like the cool kids talking sports.
For sure, Kaplan's.
No, yes, David
My
Kaplan.
neighbor, David
Kaplan.
More name drop.
Yeah, so he was like a year younger than me.
Yes.
But 9 Block's brother, Shmuley Davidowitz.
Davidowitz,
Yeah,
yeah.
so he was like, I think he was a Mets fan. So,
are these the Kaplans that lived on Cedar Lane?
No, they lived
Noah
on the corner of
Kaplan?
Fanley and Ellish Parkway. Shout out Ellish Parkway.
Nice. By the way, this is my old stopping grounds. I used to, by the way, Muncie was so small. It was tiny. It was like literally you had like up the hill, down the hill, and Main Street, and whatever.
Tashlich was done in Suzanne Lake.
Suzanne Lake.
Suzanne Lake.
We went to
That's
we went to shout out Blueberry Hill, but we went to Kearsing Parkway. That was like
Oh, that's like cool. That cool guys go
But
there.
that was the highlight of Rosh Hashanah. It was like, going down there and seeing all the, guys and gals and
Meidlich.
hanging out. And, oh my God, it was so
Basically, the
much fun.
Meidlich and Kneidlich is.
Yeah, but it was
Meidlich and Kindlich.
that was like old school Muncie. Like, everybody walking down Calvert Drive and like passing by my house and like, just like seeing, everybody go and like, I have to get rid of my affairs. But before we do that, let's get some affairs.
I hope you don't mind. I want to get a Yankee update.
Oh, Yankee
By all
update, by the
means.
way, yeah.
That's the best part is we can edit everything.
Yeah, we can, yeah, sure.
Why would we edit this update?
We don't have to edit this update. We,
1-0 Yankees.
One
Let's see
nothing Yankees.
Let's see if Judge.
This is like a 2020 update right here.
Yeah. By the way,
John
are you?
Minko.
What's her name? What was her name?
Joe is
Mandy Minko over
No,
here.
but what's the one she does it in the morning? She
I
does.
really listen to the fan.
I still listen to the fan every morning.
I'm never in the car.
I still listen to Boomer and Geo every single day, like religiously.
I remember when Boomer Carton started. I remember the first
Yeah,
Boomer and Carton episode a million years ago.
Yeah, Carton was like on an FM radio show or something, right? Before he came to sports.
Could be.
No, I think he was a radio host in like Philadelphia,
That makes sense. I think I
and
heard
then
that
he
also.
came over to the fan after what show? Oh, after they got rid of. No, they moved. Oh, they got rid of what's his name?
Imus?
Imus. Remember Imus?
He died, right?
I don't know.
Don Imus?
By the way, this is
He died. I thought he
we
died.
have to get. By the way, we have to get a fact checker, like on the podcast. We'll have to have somebody
Bonjo.
in the background. Yeah, Bunjo. Shout out Bunjo. To like because I'm the guy that does that on the other podcast that I'm a part of. I'm the hey.
Fact checker stuff.
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna try and keep this very like
PG.
not PG, but we'll have to keep this a good almost R. An R, when I say R, is like rubbish. Like
PG-13.
yeah, I would say PG-13.
PG-13. It's so
I mean,
funny because like a lot of movies when I was growing up, going to the movies, PG like if it was PG-13, I was like so excited.
Let everybody know. Listen, I know Mendy a long time. Okay, Mendy Rosen, and there's no line he won't cross,
Right.
and he doesn't have a kosher phone because there's no filter that will work. Basically, he says it as it is, which is awesome. I love that. I think that everyone here is going to love that. You're very, real and authentic. But you have no shame in just,
Being
saying,
who you are.
Yeah, being who you are and saying what's on your mind.
Yeah, that's the key. Saying what's on my mind. A lot of people don't want to say what's on their mind.
True.
So like for me, it's like, what could go wrong?
True. Listen, there are a lot of people that are very reserved on
A
podcasts.
few moments later.
Yeah, no, a lot of people that are definitely reserved on podcasts. They just get on,
Yeah, because they're probably scared like what they're gonna sound like. But Mendy, you don't care.
So I have that problem too sometimes. Like I don't. This is my first podcast ever. So like first anything
I shouldn't
ever.
say that, by the way. Tell everybody you've been on like 100 podcasts.
Kidding, Mendy?
Come on, Mendy. You're like,
No, I want to show everyone how natural this is. It. You see, can
All
you imagine
natural Mendy right there.
podcasts like 20 podcasts in?
Oh, baby. He's going to be like a pro.
Veterans.
He's going to be like a pro.
But I gotta say, sports is really good. I used to be like very stressed out about it, very tense, like you said before. Like
Yep.
we used to get pissed off when they lose and like moody, like I didn't want to go to school the next day, or I wasn't interested in talking to anybody and then like it was kind of based on like winning or losing, the mood. So it was fun, but like
There were a lot of highs and lows.
Highs and lows.
But you're a Yankee fan. You are a Yankee fan, so you had actual highs. I grew up, still am, a Mets, Jets, and Knicks fan. So there's been no actual like real highs my entire life. I was born in 1987. I was still in the womb when the Mets won the World Series. Like I heard it through my mother's stomach,
I'm that old.
I had a stethoscope from like the inside of the stomach to like hear through.
That's crazy, by the way. You don't
yeah.
remember. Like, I remember 86.
I don't have a single memory of my team winning a championship.
I was 6 years old. How old were you?
I was 8 years old. I
I was
remember.
born
I
in
remember.
87.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like crazy to think like I have people that weren't around in 1994 when the Rangers won the last Stanley Cup. Like, it's wild. Like we're that generation that like.
Well, you're talking about the Kaplans. So the Kaplans are why I'm a Mets fan. The Kaplans are all huge Mets fans. My brother became Mets fan because of the Kaplans, and I became a Mets fan because of them. So growing up in my house, we were sports nuts since I was like, I don't know, 7, 8 years old. From my brothers, my oldest brothers weren't sports fans at all. None of them at all sports fans. My 2 brothers above me were big sports fans. Like my dream as a kid, was to go to like a Mets game, like the ultimate, like wow, real game. It's like not Villa Park. It's like real, And my first ever Mets game, I was 10, I think. I went with Bomo Silver, actually. Me, Bomo Silver, and my brother. His father, Bomo's father, drove us. Shout out Mr. Silver. First ever Met game, 1997, against the Giants. We sat in left field. Al's like that annoying kid who doesn't stop yelling because he's so excited. Yelling at Barry Bonds for like 2.5 hours straight, just like yelling at him. I was sitting like, we sat down the line, like, I don't know, 10, 15 rows up. I was just yelling and yelling and yelling for 2.5 hours straight.
You still do that now, by the way.
I still do that.
How old were you?
I was 10.
Wow.
But yeah, I still yell for 2.5, 3 hours straight. I love going to games. Love it.
I grew up a Yankee fan. I take that back. I have to like correct myself. I grew up a Met fan. But wait.
Wow.
I grew up a Met fan under duress. Okay, so I have I have an older brother.
No, you didn't.
I have an older brother who's a Met fan.
Okay.
So
By default.
by default, I was a Met fan. And first baseball game, Mets. Actually, my mother was a bigger sports fan than my father. But my father would take us to games anyway. And my father's thrill was actually going to games and like buying, upper deck seats. And then like back in the day, they used to have these, they had ushers. Like people that don't remember, there was like little legit like people that would walk you to your seats and they would like wipe
it
them
down.
off, whenever you had to tip them. But so in Shea Stadium, in order to get into box seats, there was actually like a guard. There was only like two entrances to get into like that area.
But you could hop over. There's one point where the orange seats met the blue seats, and you can hop over.
Well, I guess my father.
Real thugs know.
My
Real
father
thugs
wasn't
know.
interested in hopping. So anyway, he would go over to the ushers like every game, every time we went, and he'd smear him, like $50, whatever it is.
$50.
I don't know, whatever, $20. I
Was
don't
it
remember. Whatever it is.
1991.
I don't
You're
know.
smearing a guy $50.
Like $1,000
whatever it is.
today.
I'm in the wrong industry.
I don't know, whatever it is. And he would like get us because these guys knew who wasn't showing up to games. They knew because they were all like
Season
those
ticket holders,
Season ticket
whatever.
holders. Like, remember Shea Stadium? They had in the box seats.
You had the
Each box
names.
had
Yes,
a name
I
of
remember
who
that.
owned those seats. Like it would be
Yep.
like Strauss and Company or
I sat in Todd Huntley's
FAO.
agent seat once because that's somehow we knew that from one of the names or whatever. But I sat in Todd Huntley's
Todd
agent
Huntley,
seat.
wow.
Yeah, so basically, so I grew up as a Met fan, and then I had to go to all these Met games, and then probably like 1990. So the Yankees weren't they were not good. They were like they
Brian Taylor.
were getting there, but they weren't good. My friends that lived down the block from me, the Nussbaums, were all big Yankee fans, and they're like, we're going to the Yankee game, and I'm like, okay, let's go to the Yankee game.
The rest
And
is
like
history.
the rest of the history. That's it, man. I just like I love the Bronx. That stadium, the old stadium, was the best stadium in the whole world. Like,
You love the Bronx because that's where his grandfather came from with the Angels.
The Mala.
yeah, the Malachim, yeah.
Malachim Mamish right there.
Well,
yeah.
the old Yankee Stadium.
Maybe that's why I'm a Yankee fan. I don't know.
That could be the old Yankee Stadium. By the way, nothing compared. Like the small hallways. Remember those small hallways?
By the way,
And-
so as a Mets fan, the old Yankee Stadium was awesome. I'm a huge history. I love history. So like just going there, it was like the whole mystique and aura was real. Going to
Yeah.
the new Yankee Stadium is like going to a museum that's like
Yeah.
it
it
doesn't
tries.
doesn't do anything for me.
even City Field. By the way, City Field is a beautiful.
I actually
beautiful
like City
stadium.
Field. I think
It's a great experience, but it doesn't feel very Met-like.
yeah.
Like the seats are not. Oh, I think maybe are they orange now? I don't know. I didn't realize. But I remember having a gripe. The seats when they were built were green, like just green. Not even like the old Shea Stadium had orange, blue, green, red. Like it had everything. But the
What was
Do
low?
they, still
Remember-
have, do they still have that apple?
yeah, the apple's still there.
The apple's still there?
Yeah.
Yeah, they moved the apple over, but you remember what the Loge? Remember they had
Loge was blue.
Loge was blue.
Loge was
yeah.
blue. Yeah, mezzanine was green, and upper deck was orange. It was red, and the box seats, the field level seats were orange.
Yeah, the good old days.
I love
Good old
Shea. I love Shea Stadium. I loved it. I was so mad when they knocked it down.
They had to. I mean, listen, that
It was a dump. Yeah,
Yeah, it was-
absolutely. but like as a kid going there, like when you walk down like the last like tunnel to get into like the open space where it's like the light at the end of the tunnel. You see like the green grass ahead of you. It's like
yeah.
Right. I think my first game I went to Shea Stadium was I was with Gil.
Oh wow, okay.
Shout out to Gil.
We have to keep. By the
I-
way, we have to keep stats on like how many names we've dropped.
I think we're at like 27 right now.
It was because I wouldn't even go to a game. I didn't get a ticket. I was running the Strictly Kosher
Oh,
stand.
nice.
Really?
Yes, yes.
Shout out
I
Yitzchak
got
Grandma's father-in-law.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Yitz. It was Yitz was not involved then in the family. No chance.
no way.
I don't even know when it was.
I got into a World Series game because of the Strix.
Yeah.
I want to say that Bobby. What year was Bobby Bonilla on the Mets?
92.
What was like his later like?
Oh, later years 99.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, he was
came in
still. Yes,
99.
I think he was on that.
By the
team.
way, shout out to Bobby Bonilla, who's still getting paid. He might have gotten a check today.
By the way, that's a big pet peeve of mine. Everybody talks about Bobby Bonilla. There's guys getting paid way more money for longer than Bobby Bonilla.
Well, now
The
but-
Braves are paying a guy since 1989.
Really?
I think they're still paying him for like another year or two, like after this.
Who?
Say more money than Bobby
Steve
Bonilla?
Avery or
Bruce,
something?
is it Bruce Sutter? Maybe I forgot his name. But there's a whole list. Every year, if there's a Bobby Bonilla Day, July 1st, because he gets paid $1
But
million
more,
for
but
July
more,
1st.
more. But Bobby Bonilla's
More.
getting like $1 million.
$1 million per year for what was it 25 years, whatever it was.
Right.
There's guys getting paid a lot more money than that. A lot
Really?
more money. Yeah. People just talk about it because he at one point he was like the famous case for whatever reason. This guy's getting paid a lot. Yossi Rosenberg gets so annoyed about this. Shout out Yossi Rosenberg, name drops. Boom. But it's so annoying because every single year the same joke's made.
All-star Yossi Rosenberg.
All-star Rosenberg. But there's a whole list of guys that are getting paid a heck of a lot more money than Bobby Bonilla.
I did not know that. Wow, that's news to me.
You know, I'm going to look it up right now.
Nice.
I don't know that because nobody talks about it.
No, Bobby Bonilla Day is like a big deal in like New York. Every year, like on the back of the sports page, it's like, you know,
July 1st of every year.
Yeah. So it's coming up.
With today's contract, like, who cares if you get paid yearly, right?
Yeah. I mean, you know,
I think it's deferred.
defer. You know, shout out to Shohei Ohtani for changing.
Deferring $45 trillion.
It's crazy. That's amazing that he's going to make all this money. Look at Soto. Paid a ridiculous amount of money.
Soto, I feel like is going to have a big second half.
Really?
Right?
I don't think so.
You think he's done?
I think it's. No, I don't think he's done. I think right now. I think it's in his head.
The Orioles are paying Bonilla $500,000 a year or so until 2029. So
Wow. $1.5 million a year.
That's crazy.
To do absolutely nothing.
there's a list. I got to find that list.
Wow. I hope he has a good financial advisor. That's all I could say.
It's probably.
I mean, he probably does because of the fact that he signed that contract. Shout out to Bernie Madoff because I think that's how that contract came about.
Really?
Yeah, because I think that the Wilpons were definitely heavily invested with Bernie Madoff, and I think that they like deferred.
Wilpons got absolutely crushed.
Well, got crushed.
Yeah, that's crazy. While Mendy's checking this out, let's jump topics, and it's about time we just talk about the fact that I'm a Net fan, and oddly enough, I'm a Net fan, by the way. Because it was my first basketball game that I ever went to. It was a Knicks-Nets game in the Garden. And I just decided, like, everyone's going for the Knicks, and I'm going to go for the Nets. And also, I like their jerseys. They were like, remember those powder blue Nets jerseys?
Yes, Kerry Kittles.
No, this is way before Kerry Kittle. This is like...
Derek Coleman?
This is pre-Derek Coleman. This is like...
The guy who died in a plane?
Petrovich, yeah.
Was it a plane or a car?
Yeah, shout out to F.U. Weissmandel. Me and F.U. Weissmandel went... F.U. Weissmandel's also a big Net fan, and JB. We went to the retirement night that they retired Drazen Petrovic's jersey against the Indiana Pacers, ironically enough. It was opening night, the year after that he died in an accident. But he died, I think, in 1994. I think, and it was the same year that the Rangers won the Stanley Cup. But yeah, so I'm a Nets fan.
Bittersweet,
yeah. So basically, I'm a Nets fan, but I'm sitting here with two Knicks fans, so we have to talk about it.
True.
Let's talk about the fact that, hopefully this episode will have aired, prior to whatever may happen. But, the Knicks are down 3-1. And
before we get to the Knicks, just real quick, Bruce Sutter is getting paid for 30 years after he retired. He retired in 1989. 30 years, $1.12 million a year. So that's more than Bobby Bonilla for a long period of time.
That's
Just one guy.
That's crazy. That's amazing.
But he's not getting paid anymore. It's over.
30, yeah.
I think didn't Bruce Sutter get elected to the Hall of Fame?
It feels like I heard that somewhere.
Again, we need the fact checker, but we'll get that one these days. Anyway, Knicks.
The Knicks.
Well, before we go to the Knicks, my first game at a Yankee game, I think I was 16, and I had to. I didn't tell anybody. I was doing a trip, it was in the summer. I was doing a trip for my father. He does car service. So I dropped off the customer, and I decided I have enough time. I can blame it on traffic, whatever. I'll just go to the game.
You went by yourself?
I went by myself. I think it was the game that El Duque gave up 9 or 10 runs in the first inning against the White Sox.
That's
I remember that. They
amazing,
lost
by the way. That, by the way,
16-1.
I don't know if going to a baseball game by yourself is as bad as going to a movie by yourself. It's up there.
I was just so it was such a rush for me.
So
I didn't care. I stayed till the end. So, usually 10 runs in the night, probably going out, and I'm myself there. I'm feeling I'm upper deck, but I feel like a king, and it was such a good feeling.
Let's let listeners know. Is this pre the complete change? Everyone should maybe know. Listen, you grew up very Hasidish, and
I mean transition.
Yeah, transition. But is this were you still rocking the pace?
Wait, was it pace behind your ears,
so weird
or was it
because
Krauselike Pies?
It wasn't Krauseldig. At that point,
By the way, what Kazeldik means?
Kraseldik is
Curly.
Okay, fine. Again, for the modern Orthodox people that are listening, like me,
yeah.
I don't know what Kraseldik means.
Now you do.
Now
There
I
you
do.
go.
Teach them.
I'm gonna try and use
By
that
the
in a
way-
sentence tomorrow.
I went through a lot with those crowds. Like my mother used to put those
Gel?
like what do you call? No,
Bobby
those
pins?
like not even about like like those women that use those curlers. Is that what it's
Yeah,
called?
yeah,
Curlers, yeah.
What is it called?
Curlers, yeah,
Curlers.
yeah.
I used to have to wear curlers for 3-4 hours before like a family wedding because it had to be perfectly curled.
But so at some point you did have Kraseldik pies.
I had it, yeah.
Wow.
I had it at my bar mitzvah.
It's not so Kraseldik pies though in general.
Oh, it's a big mix. Like some classes are
It's the
like
guys that I went.
my
there,
class wasn't so. I was like probably like from like the 5 kids in the class that maybe had. So my class was more cooler, like the Vidowitz, Landesman, they were cool.
Well, like there were
Very
like
cool.
were there
No, no,
Litvish
no,
kids
the
in
name,
like
yeah.
David?
Yeah, yeah, it was like very from Litvish and like or Hasidish, but not like Satmar, Vishnitz,
Right.
that type. It was more like Hasidish, but
I had no.
unless
fri-
you
It was
your
like
Rebbe
it was
was
very Heimish like ish.
Yeah, I had no friends that were like in
Based
Beis
of it?
growing up. None. Like they either went to YSV or Ashar.
My point is, I went to Wien until 4th grade. I went to Degel. Okay, so like when you're going to Wien, if you're not in Wien, you might as well be in PS44.
Were you like you and Bean with like Bernstein?
Joel Bernstein's in my class.
Wow.
Joel Bernstein's a couple
Yeah.
grades older than me. Joel Bernstein's in my class. See, that's the thing. Also, Wien. There's a ton of kids went from Wien to Degel, like Rami Spitz. Like a lot of guys, there's like regular guys with like regular trying to be like a more Heimish backgrounds, and they end up in Wien. Wien's like the least Hasidish of the Hasidish yeshivas. So like,
it's very
there's a
simple.
ton of guys who went to Wien. Baruch Klar, pretty sure he was in Wien. I know
No.
his brothers were in
I don't
Wien,
know. I know.
no?
Baruch Klar?
Were they in
They stub it.
Stubin?
He left
they
in
were
5th
Wien-
grade, I
they were
think. He went to
Wien
Beis
day camp.
Mikra.
That's what it was. They were in Wien, they
Oh,
ran
could
Wien
be.
day camp. But like, there are a ton of families like that. They're not like Hasidish in any stretch of the imagination, but they went to Beis David or Wien, whatever back then, that they would be in like YSV today.
Okay, let's try one more time.
The Knicks.
The
The
Knicks. Knicks in 7.
Yeah, Knicks in 17 is more like it.
I mean, it's like
I don't know. By the way, I had no skin in the game, so like I'll leave it up to you guys. Like
For me,
let people talk.
this
Let them
Knicks
hear.
season, they're the worst, best Knicks team that I can ever remember. Maybe even ever. They had actual expectations coming to the year, and like they're gonna lose the Eastern Conference Finals to a team that they should beat. Like that's the most frustrating part. If they lost to Boston last round, okay, you lost to the defending champs. Like not that crazy. Yeah, we geared up to beat them, but like okay, we lost them, so it makes sense. Losing to Indiana, losing to like Halpert, which is like he's just annoying. He's like the annoying go.
I
He
couldn't
tries
agree
to
more.
be more than he is. That's what pisses me off. Like the guys try to be more than they are. Like relax. Like doing the Reggie Miller choke. Like what are you doing? Like come up with your own thing. Like come on. It's so ugh.
Yeah,
Yeah, but he was in the garden.
gross,
Like it was
but-
in the garden. Like you're like that was his like only opportunity to do it because had they swept, like he couldn't have done it anyway because he would have been in.
But like just do the choke sign. Like come up with the original. Like what are you doing?
well, they did choke.
They absolutely choked.
Probably because Reggie Miller was there, and he.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm,
yeah.
I'm sure
But
that
I
was his
agree.
thought
I
process.
agree. It was.
but like,
There's no
but
excuse
like
for that.
he could have. If you're gonna remember him for doing the choke sign because Reggie Miller did it, if he came up with his own something, his own shtick, they would remember him for that. Like I don't know. I hate guys like it's like LeBron James reading the first page of every book. Like every time you see a picture of LeBron in the book, always on the first or second page. And someone asked him once, yeah, look it up. He literally is always on the first or second page. And he was reading like I forgot his book was Malcolm X, I think. So someone asked him like, "Oh, did you read the book?" He's like, "Yeah, it's a great book." Like, what was your favorite part of the book? He's like, he's just inspirational, man. Like something really generic and like vague. Like he didn't read the book, he doesn't read the stuff. He just wants to look like a certain type of guy, so he has the book out there in front of him. Like, come on,
Interesting. All right.
LeBron, another.
I'm not a reader. I can't.
I
read.
love to read, but
Yeah,
like
I
I'm not
can't
gonna
read.
sit on page 2 forever to make people
like-
think I'm reading.
Just tell me the end.
He dies, by the way.
Should I tell you the end of the next season?
So I couldn't agree more. Like once, like Cleveland, Boston and Cleveland, you were a little afraid of, but like once they were out,
The path
like this
was
is
there.
this is our chance
The
right
path-
here.
path was right
because you're
there.
right. Going in, they're like, okay, they'll probably lose to Boston, right?
Yeah, it is really frustrating. Really, like also you beat the Pistons, and I said it from the mid-season that the Pistons are going to surprise a lot of people and give someone a real problem in the playoffs. The Pistons this year remind me of the Knicks like 2-3 years ago, where like they just weren't talented enough to actually win, but they played like 120% the entire series, and that was the Knicks a couple years ago, like Randall's first playoff, where like they couldn't do anything, they didn't have enough talent. They had Reggie Bullock, you know what I'm saying? Like But the Knicks are just they're frustrating. It's very,
I
very
I
frustrating.
am happy that though that I think Minnesota is getting knocked out tonight.
They lost, I think.
They lost. They were down
They lost.
44-18 in the
Yeah,
first.
Wow.
So I'll tell you what. I wanted Minnesota Knicks. That would have been cool.
that would have been cool. Yeah.
But now that the Knicks are out, I don't want Randall.
OKC has to win at this point to make my salvage something out of this.
Right. I agree. Although
The
you're
Knicks.
saying there's a chance.
You never know. By the way, like I said, man, this is we're going into games.
We can play that. Like,
You know,
you want to be Jim Carrey or Holly?
like
What was all that 1 in a million talk?
Are you like you're saying like one in 1,000?
Or like 1 in a million? More like 1 in a million.
So you're saying there's a chance?
shout out to Mandy Rosen's favorite movie.
Many Halpert.
I do like Wedding Crashers a lot too.
Oh, it's a good movie.
Well,
The meatloaf.
but just watching Owen Wilson, that whole scene, it's like
Because he's like chefing
That's
that.
genius.
It's like, wow.
yeah, like this guy Chad.
Oh my gosh, this guy literally figured out like the holy grail of like
Picking up chicks.
picking up chicks. Yeah,
At
funerals. Yeah,
at funerals, yeah.
Whatever works, man. Whatever works. All right, so we discussed the Knicks, but let's talk about Aaron Judge. This guy's a
Wow.
the guy.
You know that he's his first 2 at bats, 2 walks.
The guy is a beast. The guy is literally having the season of all seasons.
What's crazy is, what is he, 32 now?
Yeah, he's 32.
So like
And,
the realization that he's probably going to fall off a cliff in the next couple of years because no one at this point, nobody
After
plays well
35.
after 33, 34. Maybe like they're okay still by 35, but they're not on like the pace he's on now. So like the fact that he's doing this to this level, like as a Met fan, I hate the Yankees. I absolutely despise the Yankees. I hated Derek Jeter, hated every single Yankee ever. I don't hate Aaron Judge. He's not a hateable guy. He's not a guy that like. I hope the Yankees go 0-162 every single season. I get just as happy when the Yankees lose as the Mets win. And by the way, I'll explain why I hate the Yankees in a second. Blame Yankee fans. But Judge is not a hateable guy. It's fun to watch him do what he does. It's actually enjoyable. Obviously, I could be happy if him hit 7 home runs and the Yankees lose. I'd be thrilled. I mean, it's cool to watch history.
He's not coming to the Mets, but would you change your mind about? Oh, so you would love him on the Mets?
In theory, sure. Why not?
I'm saying, but Jeter, no.
Jeter, no. I'm not one.
Really, it doesn't. It's so funny. Like to me, I look at Jeter. Like Jeter was a classic guy. Listen, it was always winning first, and
Jeter is the most overrated Yankee probably ever.
But he was.
I mean, stats wise, or
I'll say that he's a great offensive player. He horrifically bad. He's by the numbers, but look it up. He's the worst defensive shortstop in the history of baseball.
I'd like to. We need a stat.
yeah.
Stat check.
Yossi Rosenberg, pull it up when you see this because it's there. Defensive run saved, all these metrics, whatever. He's the worst rated.
But that's
shortstop.
like new baseball. Let's
It's
go
not
back.
new baseball.
Let's go back.
Do you realize that
pre,
his whole fancy jump throw, that little the cool kids try, because he has zero range. So guys that would get to a ball and just throw a guy out, he had to sit there jumping, twisting, hula hooping. He had no range, zero range. He's a terrible defensive shortstop.
Okay.
Terrible. In fact,
But he had a great feel for the game. Like he knew where to be. Like right. He made some crazy
you remember
plays.
the,
with,
Think of the Oakland play.
the
where
Giambi
he-
play, but it wasn't just that. It was-
running into the stands against
Which, by
Boston.
the way, he didn't run to the stands. We have the same argument with every single Yankee fan. He didn't run to the stands. He caught the ball 3 or 4 steps before the stands.
Okay, and then he couldn't
It's a
stop.
low. It was a low fence. He didn't dive into the stands.
Of course not.
But
I
that's
knew
the
that he didn't
play.
dive into the stands. He
Everybody
couldn't-
said, "Oh, he dove into the stands."
Running full,
He
full-
didn't have time to stop. So the low thing cut off his feet and he fell into the stands. Like, relax. He caught the ball in fair play. And
caught the ball, caught a hot dog, and
I don't blame him. I love hot dogs. My favorite food.
Is it?
I love hot dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows this. Shout out David Sanders. It makes me hot dogs.
I love me some Dougie's wings still today. If I go to Teaneck, I gotta get Dougie's wings. I love
Not the poppers, the wing.
No, I love Dougie's
Oh,
wings.
by the way, so why I hate the Yankees? So there I am, 1996. I'm 9 years old. I'm a Met fan, but like I don't hate the Yankees. Like whatever, the Yankees are the Yankees. Like whatever. I even tried to like the Yankees once. Like I tried. Like I listened. Mike Stanley's on it. I remember Mike Stanley hit a grand slam. I'm like, oh cool. Like no, I couldn't be a Yankee fan. Anyways, 1996. Yankees are playing the Braves in the World Series, and I'm going for the Yankees. Like the Braves are the Braves. They're the Mets' enemy, right? So like I'm going for the Yankees. Like they're the New York. I'm going for the New York team. Charlie Hayes catches that last pop up. Yankees win. Blah blah. Fine. After that, I was the only Met fan in a class of like 20 Yankees fans. Yankees fans became the biggest, obnoxious, can't say the word to all our young fans listening, but they were so annoying and they made me like miserable in that sense. Like It went from like, okay, a bunch of fans to like, oh, the Mets suck, the Mets suck. For like when you're 8, 9, 10 years old, like that's everything. Like I'm like, I hate the Yankees. I hate the Yankees to this day because my entire class are Yankee fans. So I actually got a couple of kids to eventually convert to Mets
Really?
fandom. So I have my little crew. But
What happens when you convert like these days? When you convert to like
if you're an adult and you convert, you're not a real fan of anybody. You can't convert when you're an adult if you're ever a real fan. If you're never a fan of anybody, you pick a team. But like, if you're a real fan of some team and you convert, you're
you have to like go in front of Besden, like
What's the age that
Yeah,
you
go to
can
the mix and
convert?
everything.
What's the age?
like
limit?
it's like the now
What's the
Jewish
age limit?
It's like the now Jewish nanny is now like the
Right.
the now Yankee Met fan.
Well,
Yeah,
I would say
what's
the
the-
age limit. I don't think it's an age limit. You're talking about if they're a real fan already. Till when can you convert?
No, let's say they're a fan like when they're 7, 8, because their father's the dad's a Yankee
By the way,
fan.
I wrote my son's bar mitzvah speech, right? So part of the speech I wrote was that I made him a Mets, Jets, and Knicks fan when he was younger, so he understands that not everything in life goes your way. Like you need to build you got to build a thick skin, and here we are. Like he last night, poor kid. I'm watching him. I looked at him. I'm looking at myself at 16. Like Knicks lost. He couldn't talk for the next hour. Like he just didn't say a word. Like this morning, he still woke up. He was still pissed off.
Last year, Rangers. I think it was with the Eastern Conference Finals, and it was the game that Kreider came back and scored that goal.
Against Florida, right?
It was against Florida, yeah. And but with I don't know, a couple minutes left, my son was bawling. He was so upset. He was crying. He was literally like in tears. And like, even after they scored and they won the game, and they came back. She couldn't get it. The emotion was like still there. He was like crying out of happiness now, but like literally, he was like in tears when they were losing. I was like, oh, I love it. I was so happy. I'm like, oh man, you're like a real sports fan. Like you're so into it. But yeah, I mean, I guess it does stink when your father's a fan of like a team that like never wins. And
He's asked me a bunch of times, like, Todd, why'd you pick these teams? Like, I'm stuck now. Like, he's at the point where he can't change because like he's already a diehard.
yeah, no.
So like, I'm
He's
like,
16,
he's
right?
stuck now forever. But that's another thing also. When your kid is an actual real sports fan with the same teams you are, it's great.
Of course, yeah.
I watch games and I go to games and like I'll chill with him watching games. Like I would chill with my friends. Like,
By the way, it's like I have an automatic wingman anytime I want to go to a game.
Yeah.
I'm like, buddy, let's go to a game. Oh, for sure. Like he's never gonna say no. Like
Yep.
even if I said let's go to a WNBA game, he might say yes.
I mean, I lived vicariously through him. When he was 5 years old, I took him to his first Mets game, and since I was a kid, I never got to do it. I wanted to run the bases after the game. Never got a chance to do it as a kid. It would have been my dream to run the bases like on the actual field. So his first game ever, he's 5 years old. Made sure to go to a game, play the Red Sox actually, and run the bases after the game. So he runs the bases like he doesn't think anything of it. He's 5 years old. Like, I'm telling him, like, you don't realize how lucky you are. That was like your first experience. He's like, yeah, it was cool, but like, he's 5. Like, what do I remember about it? I have a video of it. But it's like, that's pretty much it. His first Jets game, I forgot who hooked me up with tickets, but we sat 45-yard line, like 15 rows up. We met the players after the game. Shout out Ashley Silber hooking that up. He had to hook up with the players, 10, whatever. We met Sam Darnold, like, and like half the team. Like he was, I don't know, was he 10 years old, 11 years old? Like that was his first Jet game experience. Like you don't realize that this is not normal. Like these are things that like people would die as adults would love to do. And like you're like 10, 11
That's
years old
crazy.
meeting the Jets team. Like, so I basically very much lived through him and like wanting to do those things for him that I knew I would have loved to do when I was a kid. So obviously he can never appreciate that. Not that it's his fault because it's just how he knew it from such a young age. But like, yeah, I wanted to make sure I gave him those experiences because I know at some point he'll look back and realize it was very
That's cool.
Like I think today, like it's for me, it's like remember I was telling you how like crazy rush I got to go. Now it's like, guys, you want to go to the game? Nah. I get that, like nah.
I don't think I would ever
Where are we
be
sitting?
I would
Oh,
never-
no, never mind. Nah.
Right, exactly. Like
That I
I
get.
got,
That-
I got
that I do
Legends
get.
once for their birthday, whatever, and now it's like upper deck. No, we can't sit there.
I get that. I
You
get
know?
that now. Like, oh, we're going to the game, but where are we going to sit? I'm like, dude, man, I don't understand.
game
I
is a
I
game.
had season tickets for 10 years. Shout out to section, was it 20?
I don't know. I joined
Whatever.
you one
But
year.
yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah. But shout out to like right behind home plate, upper deck, Old Yankee Stadium. And there was nothing like sitting in the upper deck. Like who wanted to sit in box seats? Like who wanted to sit down there? It was
Just being at a game was exciting. Yelling and screaming for 3 hours.
But I also used to go. I used to get the upper deck, and I used to go in the 7th inning and
Yeah,
like
of
get some
course.
guy that's leaving because he doesn't give a
Yeah.
crap. And I used to get the final 3 innings. Like,
But yeah,
a
that-
lot of guys said no, get the hell out of here. But there's always that nice guy
Yeah.
that gives you the tickets. You have to
Yeah,
do
I remember that.
Yeah, you could. That was like always a thing to be able to, move down. But like, just like, who wanted to sit down there? I loved, first of all, the view from upper deck, see the whole field.
I'd rather sit there than like lower deck outfield, upper deck.
Yeah, sure. I'll listen.
Right.
All right. This is fun, by the way. I can keep on going. I can. Who needs to stop? But at some point we do have to stop. But let's touch on another thing that I want to try and bring out in this program is the leagues that are going on. We got so many right now Jewish leagues throughout Muncie, Teaneck, Lakewood, Baltimore. Wherever there's a Jewish community right now, there's an adult league, whether it be baseball, basketball, hockey, volleyball. They're out there, and it's amazing. I think that it's the greatest outlet for sure for teenagers, adults to be able to go out and play ball. Whether it be once a week or twice a week, and even for the kids. I mean, listen, growing up in Muncie, there was Little League baseball, and even if you were in YSV and you went to play Little League baseball, you got like the evil eye. But of course, my parents were rebels, and we were able to do that. But all the kids leagues right now, you got football, baseball, a little bit of hockey, basketball. It's amazing. It's amazing. Shout out Yitzhak Greenbaum. Shout out Ezzy Katz for taking over a very good league and making it even better. Shout out Marv and Sam for being the ones to start it. Shout out to Michael Chasen for running the original Muncie Shul League. It was like the teams were actually
And
based.
still playing 78 years later.
But the original Muncie Shul it was basically shuls. It was like
MSL Muncie. It was
no,
the same.
but it wasn't. There was no name for it. But we had it was a team from Community Synagogue. There was a team from Base Torah. There was a team from Shari Tefillah, which was like a Reform synagogue somewhere in near Montebello, I think. But yeah,
Was it like those shoe leagues that Avi Edelman is good at pitching in? Like, is that the?
I don't know about that.
Avi was
Shout
always
out to
catching
Avi.
strays.
Yeah.
Always catching strays.
But yeah, I want to be able to talk about the leagues. I want to get commissioners on this league. I want to get players. I want to get coaches, just to talk about their experiences. I want to be able to at one point start talking about what's going on in the other leagues as far as standings. Talking about rivalries.
All-star
There's
games.
all-star games that are coming up that I'm not invited to, but I am invited to the old timers game.
Nice.
I think I'm throwing out the first pitch.
I would be the old timers. The only
Not
thing is I
catching the
joined.
first pitch?
I wish, man.
I would be old timers, although I just joined the league a couple years ago, so I don't know if I'm an old timer.
But yeah, I mean, listen, I'm so grateful that I can still play, and I want to continue to play for sure a couple more years. I would love to be able to play with my son. That's the goal. Is to play a game like Ken Griffey Jr., Ken Griffey Sr. type
Yes,
thing.
sir. I'm in the same. I mean, I'm not as old as you are, obviously, because you're 100 years old. But
Yeah.
I'm like creaking and squeaking and falling apart at the seams at this point. I'm 38. But my kid's 16. So we're actually playing together in the RSK softball tournament this year. So the first time I'm actually playing the same team as him.
Wow,
It's gonna be very cool.
What position is he playing?
He's an outfielder / he'll probably be like the fourth outfielder type of thing. But it's cool just to play on the same team as him, like watching him grow up and playing in Pirkei baseball and this and that and the other, and actually playing the same team is gonna be very cool. And then in the next year or 2, 3, whatever it is, we'll join the MSL, and then hopefully I'm still around with working limbs to play with him. So that's gonna be super cool.
Yeah.
How
By the
old do
way,
you have to be? I don't even know.
I just want to, by the way, just want to
officially
just
17.
say one thing. I do apologize that maybe the video might have gone out. Looking at the screen right now, and it looks like we're a little bit frozen. But anyway, we still have great audio, and we're gonna have to put this out anyway.
So you're saying that I was being super careful not to jump around for no reasons? Or
No, it's fine. It's fine. I'm just saying, the audio.
Can I
is still
bang on the
going.
table now?
No, I don't want to bang on the table
Oh,
because you
okay.
don't want the sound to come out. I'm just saying, the being shot on a.
So I should just continue squeezing.
You can squeeze whatever you got to squeeze
gotcha.
and do what you got to do. But
I do want to
you
say
wanna
about for me,
squeeze,
like
let
you
it
have a lot.
squeeze.
You have a lot more experience in the whole league thing, right? You started out years ago. However, for me,
Yeah.
for me, I just started like 2.5 years ago. So I just want to say, like, also me, like it could be, it's for anybody. It doesn't matter what background you're from.
Oh, of course.
You could start at any age. Like, don't, if you're listening right now and you're like 45,
You're on the fence.
You're on the fence, 40 even, 41, 42. I started or 45.
Right here.
You could, just
You just
if
have to
you're
remember-
looking for something to, like a healthy outlet, softball it is.
Yeah, but you have to remember one thing.
Yes.
Listen. For me, it's about winning. Bottom line, like, I don't want to be on a bad team. I don't want to go out and lose 20-0. On a Tuesday night, or what was it yesterday? I don't know, whatever it was, Mindy.
It was what was it? 18-1.
18-1, whatever it is. Like, I want to win.
Did give up
I want
the
to play.
run.
I want to play. I want to play competitively.
Right.
So you have to just keep that in mind. Like, you may be able to join a league, but you just have to keep that in the back of your head is that you may not get on the best team. You may be on a weaker team, but if you're going out there to have fun, absolutely, go out there, have fun. I'm the type of guy that listen, I'm lucky that I've been on really good teams. There was a time that I was a pretty decent player. I'm holding on right now by the skin of my teeth.
By the chain straps of your
I don't know,
catcher.
whatever it is. Yeah, shout out to you, Mindy, for going out there and doing it. Yep, stuff like on screen.
Is it on now?
Yeah, dude, there's a backup. Don't worry. I have backup audio. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Not the audio. I'm talking about the
video. It's like it said right now. There isn't sufficient space. I don't know. Don't worry.
Because I was a little stiff. I want to know if I could.
You're okay. Don't worry.
What do you say? Go ahead. You were saying something.
I was saying that I've been lucky to been on some. I've been lucky to have been on some good teams and win a whole bunch of championships. So the 40-year-old that's.
Do you still urge that win, or you want to just at this point you rather play more, or
no? At this point right now, I'm happy to be part of a really good team. I get to play when I get to play. I could still hit a little bit. I think that I can still even
Oppo
Steph, exactly. But it used to be pull hit Steph, and now it's like Oppo Steph. But it's not as easy as it was.
No, you got to hit the ball to the outfield to get a single.
Yeah, if I don't hit like a good solid shot, like I'm getting thrown out from like deep second for sure. Like there's no doubt. Like even last night, like I hit like a weak ground ball that may have been a base hit for Aaron Schwartz or block or whatever it is, but like no way, no chance. Like like I actually when I hit the ball,
you hit the ball hard. Usher Klein made a great play.
Usher did make
Shout out to Usher.
Yeah, it's not easy, but I still love it. So I'm gonna keep on doing it.
I got a little taste of winning in fall ball.
Yeah, fall ball was fun, by the way.
Fall
That
ball
was,
was
by the way,
I
a great
didn't
move.
play football, but I actually came to watch like a decent number of games, and that's another thing. Shout out Ezzy and Yitz for creating an environment where I've been playing in this general league for the last I'm 38, 17 years, 18 years. And never once would I ever even entertain the idea of going to watch like a random game.
I actually made fun of you, by the way,
Tuesday
for
night?
showing up and like, dude,
I literally
go home.
showed
No,
up
I think it's
to watch.
great.
There's probably food involved, which is probably why I was really there. But
Hot dogs, by the way.
definitely hot dogs. But it was a good chill because like you just know guys in other teams and you're just chilling with guys, and it's fun. It's just going to a game, watching a game, staying after your own game for a half hour, whatever it is. It's just a good chill. It's a great.
I would have
vibe.
never have thought that guys have actually logged on to go watch
on the live stream.
and like there are people watching.
Yeah,
And
there's probably about 10, 11 guys.
And I gotta say, by the way, the reason really behind this podcast happens to be because of fall ball, because of the players chat that was created.
Yeah.
The original chat was just the commissioner basically just spitting out, what games were going on and if their game was canceled or whatnot. Then
But I want to take like 71% credit for the players chat because I told Yaakov Kahana and Yitz, I think, that they should have some sort of chat. It wasn't like anything specific. Oh, go do a football chat. I said you gotta have like a chat at some point of like all the guys and whatever. Because at that point, it's
69%.
Right, 69%. It's the whole MSL status was basically a chat, but like in slower time because like you would post a video or a picture or whatever, and like guys would respond to it. Then you would post responses, and guys would respond to each other within the responses to the thing, and then like he basically just posting a whole conversation on the what's it called on the status. So instead, I'm like, yes, why don't you make a chat, and everybody would just hock up in the
I
chat.
didn't know that. Wow.
And then at some point after, I don't know how long after it was. But at
that
some
chat,
point
by the
after-
way, is ridiculous. Like I can like at 10:30 at night, like look at my phone and I see like 145 unread messages, and then I wake up the next morning and it's like 300 and 87 unread messages, and I'm like, of course,
mostly
I'm like
me
the
and Mendy.
and I'm like the last guy, right? I'm like the last guy to the party who always like posts that thing that like everybody already knows. Like, remember when the the Yankees lifted the beard rule? I'm like, oh, bro, hot off the presses, Yankees lift the beard ban, and I got like, oh my god, you loser.
It's so funny. Morty Kahana, shout out to Morty. He's like, if you ever like pay attention, like he'll like go 2 days later
And then start
and then
emojis and everything.
Oh, you realize that?
Yeah, of course. It's Morty for the last like 10 years.
Oh, is it?
He comes
It's
like
the
he's always
funniest
driving
thing.
somewhere. So like he'll be like 6 hours later, he'll like start like commenting and or putting emojis on various comments that like the conversation's been over for like 6 hours.
Yeah, that's
It's
my
just,
problem.
I'll do the
Morty.
same day sometimes, but like he'll do for like a day or two before. Like he'll still. I'm like, why is he laughing? Like I have to,
That's my problem. If I don't like look at the chat right away, and I don't like get into a conversation like right as it's like being
I'm gonna start
created, I'm
tagging
like,
Steph randomly in the chat just to like poke him.
awesome.
we get very when JB's like typing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, JB.
The fact that
yeah, listen.
JB is like even involved in any chat is hysterical. He'll say like 2 things a year and then go back to hibernation.
Yeah, shout out to JB for working so hard.
Shout.
All right, this was a lot of fun. I think that we definitely have to do this again. Hopefully the people that are listening are going to like and subscribe and follow
and
to whatever.
comment and
yeah,
reach out and say they were awesome. And
yeah,
that you
but
wanna hear
let
more
us
of
let us know in the comments like what you liked, what you didn't like. If you don't like me, please.
We didn't even talk about the fact that I'm a giant midfluencer. His entire, and that's what's great by the way. 'Cause there's so much to talk about that like didn't have to come up even.
It didn't have to come up.
Didn't have to come up,
But
man.
you, by the way,
That could, we
but
could
it
start
came
that
up.
out.
There's no way I was letting an actual podcast.
Mendy's
happen
been sitting on that for
without
like
plugging
the past
myself.
hour. Like, oh yeah,
Literally
by the way,
plugged myself into the outlet.
by the way,
That was
shout
cool.
out to Zach Eisenberg.
Yeah.
We got to give Zach a shout out because we did try this once before, but unfortunately Zach was doing this
was in a
from
tunnel.
a car in the tunnel, and it didn't work out so well. So we threw Mendy Rosen into the hot seat, and Mendy did a great job, by the way. I gotta tell you, no, don't.
That's tough.
Don't sell
to-
yourself short.
Yeah,
Don't sell yourself at all. Personally, my advice would be never to sell yourself, but definitely don't sell yourself short.
yeah. No, I think
I mean, Zachary is the man. I mean, it's hard to.
I don't know. I think that listen, you did a great
What's
job.
that? What's that
filling-
shoes line? It's hard to fill.
Fill.
Fill
It's hard to
shoes.
fill
It's hard to
someone
fill
else's
shoes.
shoes. Yeah.
It's hard to fill Zachary's shoes, but
Yeah, all right, but you did a great job, and of course, Mendy, you did an amazing job.
Yes, I was hoping you'd say that. Yeah.
And we'll call it a night. And until next time, same bat channel, same bat time. If anybody knows what that's from, shout out to you because I just
A
dated
lot of
myself.
shouting going on. I
And
feel
a
like
lot
we're
of
yelling
shout
at
outs, by the way.
people.
We're gonna have to get rid of the shout outs.
Yeah, which
Sure.
shout
Yeah, we got it out of our system. But
a lot of- you have a lot of editing to do.
Before we end this out, shout out Andy Rose's life for letting him come on here
yeah,
because
for
big
sure.
risk that she took letting you come on here. So
it is a big.
I
risk.
hope that she lets him back. I really do.
Oh, she's waiting for me.
I think my wife will be okay with whatever I've said, but she also does know that I do have the editing power because I've mastered that craft. Shout out to my garage for those who were able
hosting,
for those who were able to see it for whatever period of time they were. And next time I got to remember to charge my iPhone a little bit longer so the battery doesn't die. That's what happened. The battery died and we lost the video. All right, that's a wrap.
it is.
And peace out. Again, don't forget to like, follow, subscribe. Find us on YouTube. Find us on Spotify. Find us on Apple. We'll figure out what the name of this podcast is eventually.
Maybe we should
and,
do a poll to ask people what the podcast.
Oh, that's
is
great.
called.
Let's throw that out there to the last listeners, or hopefully all the listeners that are still there. Give us a name. We'll give you, credit in the credits.
We'll shout you out even though we don't have to shout outs anymore.
Exactly. There's a thing on the Kiddish Club. There's a podcast called Kiddish Club, and they actually give us. There's something they give every week. Like you're like can give
challenge?
yeah, something like that. Like you can like actually pay to get like your message out. That's the way that
Is that
we
what we
get
call
sponsors.
advertising?
Yeah, advertising. We're gonna actually have to hit up the king of all podcasters,
VV.
the Naki Gordon. to get on
VV, I
there.
like that.
Oh, VV, yeah, eventually, by the way, we can mention it right now. Why not?
Shout out Vision Vinyl. Let's go. The biggest sponsor of all things sponsored ever.
Yeah.
They probably sponsor like Harsina.
I got to shout out to Vision Vinyl. I got some Vision Vinyl stuff here in the house. So shout out to Mendy. Big ups on that, you know.
Humongous ups.
How's that flood coming along?
Thank God, man. Every time it gets a little mildewy down here, we always know that we got the cork to make sure that the water doesn't. Yum.
What's that when you do things for others? What is it called?
Selfless acts of kindness. What?
I like my brother Yitzi. Shout out to Yitzi.
Shout out to Yitzi.
Shout out to
And
Yitzi. He
Mati.
says, "Do it for the people." That's what it is. I do it for the people.
For the claw.
Mandy
Big
does it
claw.
all for the claw, baby. All right, that's a wrap, guys. Peace out.
All right.